So this is my setup. I'm using 12-inch iPad Pro with the new pencil and my new MacBook Pro. They use USB-C, so I've got the iPad directed with an application called Astropad, and then I'm using it as a mirrored screen and drawing on it using the pencil, using my old apps that I'm used to. This review's for animators. If you're an illustrator, you don't need this because just drawing on the iPad Pro is enough. You don't need it to use as another tool to use Photoshop. You definitely can with Astropads. This is not for illustrators. My point of these videos are to talk to animators who are going, wow, my dream is to have a portable animation disc that I can draw with anywhere and do animations. I've talked about Rough Animator in my previous video. I've been playing a bit with it. This application is just so much fun. It's so easy and so intuitive. It's just, I mean, just with a little playing around. So that's the animation app, the best one that I've found and know about that you can get on directly on the iPad. Problem is, for compositing, for doing more complicated stuff, sound editing, it's just much easier to use a computer using the softwares that you know, After Effects, Final Cut, whatever. You still want to go back to your laptop or a computer. This is for people who are thinking of buying a Cintiq, and instead of that are saying Cintiq is really old technology. The new ones that came out are amazing, really expensive, whatever. They have no parallax, which this has no parallax. My old Cintiq had a parallax, and that takes a little adjusting to. Is this the ultimate tool? No, we're not there yet. Paper and pencil are superior, but what you get for drawing directly digital is you can watch your animations, you can make them better, you can make your in-betweens better, and then you can have better animation faster. It just works out faster than doing it by hand, scanning it. In the end, we want to be digital, so blabbering on. I hope some of this makes sense. An application called Astropad. Astropad is quite expensive. It's like a subscription base, but I highly recommend it. It works amazing. Even using the mask feature, like if you're doing a mask in Photoshop and you just, it would be easier if I had a pen. Using Astropad with a cable, yeah, you can use it over Wi-Fi, but it works great on the cable. This is the cable that came with the iPad, and it's the one that you use for charging. I'm using it to connect to my Mac. So somebody asked, how is it to draw on it using Toon Boom? I'm not using Toon Boom, but I'm using a very similar application to Toon Boom. It's a very, very old one. I'm sure Toon Boom would work much better. It seems every application I've used, it just mirrors it quite well. This is a shot that I did on my 22-inch Cintiq, and I realized that between the frames there is a hand frame missing, so I'm going to add that hand. I'm going to give you my impressions of what's the difference between using the iPad as a Cintiq compared to using a Cintiq as a Cintiq. Is there a difference? So these hands there's just a frame missing to give it a slightly smoother in between. I want to replace this hand. See, there's a movement here, and we want to make that movement between this frame. Just want to add one in between because I'm doing web animations. I need to produce as much animation as possible, so we're going to have to do as limited animation as possible, but yet, I'm an animator and I want to draw as many frames as possible because that's what we do this for. Because we get high on our own supply of drawing a lot of frames.
Lesson number 2, don't get high on your own supply.
That's right. It's like masturbating, really. Isn't that what we're doing? So that was not the best job, but we have an in-between here, between these two hands. Should we add another keyframe? Let's add another keyframe just for the fun of it. So the hand is much smoother than it was before. The movement here. I'm holding a camera with one hand, so somebody asked, it feels pretty much like drawing on a Cintiq. It's just, maybe the glass is a little smoother, the pencil's a little smoother. Seems to be a little bit more glide, but I think this is something you just need to get used to. I don't think this is something that is an issue. It's just something you need to learn how to control. It's like a new tool. I remember struggling a bit when I moved to a Cintiq from paper, and I panicked I was like, ooh, maybe I made the biggest mistake of my life. This does not feel 100% natural. Then I got used to it. I feel like because I'm using my other hand to hold the camera. Anyways, I just want to put this video out there real quick to address some of those questions. Can Astropad replace and an iPad Pro replace a Wacom Cintiq for animation? Definitely. There's enough videos out there and people using Astropad and using the iPad as a professional drawing tool. Definitely. And I think with a USB-C cable hardware connection, works amazing. I played with the software connection, maybe the Wi-Fi where I've played with it in my house here wasn't that great, so it wasn't amazing. It works. If you have great Wi-Fi in your house, it should work better. The ultimate setup, I guess, right now would be one of those really high-end Wacom Cintiqs. Might be better than an iPad Pro. I can't fault Wacom. They're just incredibly expensive, and it's just a dumb screen. Some of the resolution isn't that great on the slightly cheaper high-end 22-inch models. I sold my 22-inch model. I moved. This is why I sold it. And I've kept on feeling that I'm working with old technology, and buying a brand new one to replace my old one for such a grotesque amount would be silly. Is drawing it on it the same as drawing? Yes. It feels just as natural as you would draw with a Wacom. It has pressure sensitivity, works amazing. Yeah, it's super smooth. No, somebody asked me about this. I just don't see any difference between working. Anyway, so definitely you can replace it. It is a learning curve, and it is readjusting your studio, and it is getting used to something different. And every time you move to a new thing, some software might not work as smoothly as others. Some works better. All the keyboard shortcuts with Astropad seem to work amazing, and some all of a sudden some things do work and some things don't work. Anyways, I hope this is helpful. I'm gonna put out lots of videos about doing animation on the iPad, so subscribe to this channel. I also put out a lot of edited content, so if it doesn't interest you, you should still watch it and hit me likes and stuff. How does the pressure sensitivity work compared to a Wacom Cintiq? Does it work? Does it do everything the Wacom Cintiq does? Yes, it does. If you're using a hardware connection and not through Wi-Fi, it seems to work just as good as a Wacom Cintiq. This is not Toon Boom, but this is a similar application. And it seems to work great. I find it here, you see, very, very, very sensitive. Yeah, and then he presses down a bit. Oh, and the line becomes thicker. It does feel a little smoother, the glass and the pencil, a bit smoother than what I'm used to with the Wacom, but do I feel any difference? It's terrible. No, not really. I mean, I'm holding a camera and I'm not in the most comfortable position, and I'm still doing fine. And like I said, the pressure sensitivity is fantastic. So some of these animations and drawings I did on my old Cintiq, and some are a couple of in-betweens that I fixed here are on the iPad, and there is a slight learning curve and figuring out your setup. This is an old application, so all the shortcuts don't seem to work. But the newer ones, they all seem to work amazing with Astropad. Thanks Astropad for making such an awesome product. There's a huge demand for this product. Until we don't have full proper software on the iPad, we'll still need this kind of software. But eventually I think we'll be able to do, as animators, we'll be able to do eventually all our work on an iPad. So that was my thinking when I got the iPad, that this is going to be my main tool eventually. Right now I'm using it as like a Cintiq, like a light table. Animation disc. That's what this video is for. It's for animators. Because you all know you can draw amazing pressure sensitivity with the software that comes with the iPad. Anyways, if you're thinking about making the plunge and you want a portable solution and you're sick of paying so much money from Wacom, I know there are cheaper alternatives. But you know, all those guys who review those cheaper alternatives, they're all still on a Wacom, whatever. They're all on a Wacom. They're all on a Cintiq. Why is that? Because Cintiqs are the best and they're still not that great. Is the iPad Pro perfect? Hey, would an eraser around the back kill you? No. Because my little girl picked up this thing and she was drawing with it and it's amazing. And she was playing with it and then she did a mistake and she wanted to erase it. Yeah, the clicking works in most applications with S, but it's not perfect. It's not such a natural, intuitive thing as switching the pencil around and erasing, which the Wacoms do. A little rant, but okay, we want these things to be better. I paid close to £100 for this, so it's okay to say it's not perfect. It is a really good tool. Pressure sensitivity works with my old application. There's no difference. Screen is a little smoother, I think, but maybe just my old Wacom screen was smudgy. Size-wise, going from 22 to a 12, because the resolution's so high on this one, and I can't see any pixels really, makes no difference. I did like having that big table around, but like I said, what I'm taking is portability. Anyways, I hope some of this video made sense and is helpful to someone. Should you make the plunge? Enter at your own risk. It's an exciting new world. I've always wanted to be in the cutting edge of the next thing, and I feel like the Wacom Cintiqs are becoming, and the big expensive light tables, even though there are all these cheaper alternatives now, I feel they're becoming obsolete. And the future should be something like an iPad Pro. This is for us artists, animators. This is definitely the future. We still don't have proper software for animation, for compositing, for doing this, for sound. It's still not there. It's still a little tricky, but we're getting there. So that's my opinion. Should you make the leap of faith? No, you gotta keep the faith. Yeah, what the hey? It's gonna take some time to figure that out. Was this should I just gotten a Cintiq? After I start producing quite a bit of work. So I'll see. Subscribe to my videos because I'm gonna put out more of these content talking about animation on the iPad. Thanks for watching, you guys. Oh, ask me all these questions because it's interesting.